Good on my end.
Sounds
All
good.
right.
I'll be right back.
Yeah, sounds about right.
I'm just kidding. I'm good.
All right.
Bungdo suddenly bursts into flames.
I like the house.
Oh, the irony.
Okay. So now that you're all congregated outside the, former home of a certain Mr. Leadforge, what are you doing?
I look at Termilla. You ready to go see your father?
She kind of looks back at the house, and she still seems to be processing everything that she's seen over the last few minutes, but eventually kind of snapping out of it. She's like, "All right, let's go."
Okay. So I guess we'll head towards head towards the what was it, like the town hall or whatever.
Yeah, kind of like it's essentially like a Capitol building kind of setup.
Yeah.
Um, but yeah,
I do want to keep watch behind me.
Okay.
Make sure we don't have a tail.
I
Alright.
grumpily go back to Dogo's parents' house.
Okay.
Um,
Yeah. So Togar, go ahead and make a perception.
and I point out to my. Oh, never mind. Don't need to.
All right. Yeah. So as you kind of round the corner, leaving the house behind, you do see a familiar cloaked figure just sort of disappear over one of the distant rooftops. Doesn't seem to be following. Seems to be making his way, well, in the general direction of the front gates of the city.
All right. I will just let him go.
Okay.
And just. I'll look over at Maya and say, we don't have to worry about him for a bit. So, I guess we'll head there.
Okay. So, yeah, a few uneventful minutes later, you find yourselves in the entry chamber of the capital of Thogladar. And the guards posted outside at this point, easily recognizing Maya, simply approach and just ask, "You here to see the general?"
That's Maya or me?
The group, really.
I kind of push Maya forward and kind of hide behind my cloak a little bit.
Is Becca there?
Oh, sorry. I forgot push to talk. I
Oh.
say yes.
Okay. All right, and yeah, you're led back to the council chambers where you've seen the general a number of times now. Okay, so I know Trogdor went back to the Hammer Striker household. What's Bungdo doing?
I was just going with them.
Okay. So yeah, the three of you plus Tormilla make your way into the chamber, and as the doors swing open, you see 4 goat knights, all mounted, and 3 of them mounted, one of them off his mount and standing sort of at the base of the general's platform, seemingly still in the middle of a conversation. But as the doors swing open, everyone in the room quite noticeably turns their attention back towards you, and pushing past you Tormilla goes running up the extensive carpet that leads to the platform, kind of squeezing between the goats and the feet of the goat knights that sit atop them, and just basically running into her father's arms. Not even a single word for what seems like close to a minute, maybe even two. Just a long embrace. And as the two finally separate and look each other in the eye for the first time in probably close to a year at this point, you hear something. Just kind of quiet, seemingly whispered words between father and daughter. And, well, tears rolling down both of their faces. The general is probably the first to regain his composure. Kind of, sniffs and brushes the tears away with his, gauntleted hand, as he's kind of sitting, now in his full armor for whatever reason.
Is his armor very, very nice?
Oh, it's quite nice. Very ornately decorated, and lots of. You can actually make out a number of dwarven battle scenes that have been kind of etched into his armor and the filigree. All of which you would know were actually things that he participated in. And so he kind of walks around with this trophy collection, so to speak, engraved and inlaid on his armor.
Okay.
But
very well made as well. Like it's functional, extremely functional.
Absolutely.
Okay.
But yeah, he kind of brushes the tears away and turns his attention to you, and most immediately acknowledges Maya and says, "I'm glad to see you again. I suppose if my trusted goat knights are to be believed, you were not only telling the truth, but made some other discoveries while you were there, yes?" Push to talk?
Yes. Not only did we find a beholder, but it seems that he also turned himself into a Bodak, which is now also dead.
Well, this is disturbing news, to be sure, but, well, I'm glad that you've dealt with the threat and managed to bring my daughter home safely. Well, what else do we know about the threat, if anything? Is there more to be dealt with, or can we rest easily?
At this point, I'll pipe up from behind. The captain of the guard needs to be taken out or taken care of.
I'll turn slightly towards Togar and say that this is Togar Hammerstriker. We believe that the problem is, well, as we always thought, larger, but we do not know too much on how to move up from here, besides that the guard has been somewhat corrupted. The captain of the guard, most definitely, and some other guards also.
The captain of the guard is hereby accused of murder of my brother.
I feel like you're saying something, and
Oh. I said the captain of the guard is hereby accused by me of an accomplice to murder of my brother's murder.
And what
Also-
proof do you have of this?
We still do not know who orchestrated your daughter's unfortune.
He was the one who allowed the big bulk of Thogonite to leave this city. He was the reason my brother was killed. Because he was able to be bribed, my brother was not. And he went along with the plan that Farrig Leadforge had put together and put in place to not only smuggle Thogonite out of the city, but to replace the city's own guard captain with one in his pockets. That man has done me a severe injustice. And this city, a severe injustice.
Then I will ask again, what proof do you have?
I look to Tormilla, and then I look at Bungdo and I say, all of us has spoken to my brother's killer. The man who put his dagger into my brother's heart. The man who was hired by Leadforge. Just like the guard captain. He told us all of this in exchange for his life. Now, I'm more just passing the information on to you. At current, the guards, other than your goat knights here who performed very well, the regular guards cannot be trusted.
I'm very tempted to make you roll a deception check, but go ahead.
What do you mean? Oh, about for the
Fucking
that they
stormtrooper goat knights.
Yeah.
Carry on.
Well, they did what they helped. So,
Yeah. Anyway.
I also have proof in the guard that was tailing us. And I ended up knocking him out to find out what his issue was. And upon discovery that it was a guard, and I look to the lead goat knight and I say, he was the one that Trogdor was carrying. He was following us, cloaked. And I look back to the general and say, General, my mother and father will attest for it, to all of which what I'm telling you, that they have seen at least. As will everybody in this room, including Tormilla.
Tormilla just nods. I'm looking around and seeing the consistent agreement and acknowledgement with what Togar has said. General Snowhand then says, well, then it would seem the day's events are not done. I shall summon him here. And you, Togar Hammerstriker, will have the opportunity to question Guard Captain Bearman Shatterfoot. I will preside. And ensure that anything that happens does so by the proper means. There will be no vigilante activity here.
At this point, you hear a click and a thump. I unhooked my belt, and I step out of it and hand it to Maya.
I
Like-
take it.
Like my sword, my weapon belt.
Mm-hmm. Okay.
I'm perfectly okay with that.
Then let it be done. He looks over to one of the goat knights, still mounted, kind of in the background at this point. Nods in his direction, and without a word, he wheels the goat around and seems to be off to retrieve the guard captain.
As soon as he leaves, I say, that being said, do you have anybody who can possibly heal me? I am not having the best day.
At this point, Tormilla's like, "Oh my gosh, I'm so sorry. With everything that happened, I was just..." And she kind of like stumbles over the words a little and makes her way over. And you see one of her hands sort of begin to glow. And she casts Cure Wound, healing you for 14 HP.
Awesome. I look
Could I have
noticeably
healing
better.
too, please?
Yeah, she looks over and see how she's spells left. Yeah. So she just walks right over and, again, hands glow, almost this kind of fiery orangish color. And, she heals Maya for 9 HP.
As soon as she's done, I'll reach in my pocket and pull out the religious, the necklace with religious stuff on it, and say, hey, Tormilla, do you happen to know what this is? What religion this is? Oh, no, I got 3 of them, so I'll pull all 3 of them out and say, do you know what religions these are?
Alright. Yeah, she takes all of them. They're all kind of on bits of cord or leather, kind of one at a time, lifting them to eye level to kind of get a close look. And, yeah, she... Let's see here. Alright, so she looks at the first 2 and can't really make anything. But the third one, which sort of, in terms of shape, and I guess out of character terms, it essentially looks like a jagged pie symbol with then a couple of curved sections crisscrossing throughout the middle. She recognizes that as a symbol of Orcus.
Oh. And I will say, well, if we can figure out what these other 2 were, this was found in Leadforge's bedroom. These symbols were found.
Well, I could take them to the temple and see if Perhaps one of the elders would be able to recognize any of them.
For another time, yes, but I'll say hang on to those, and yes, I would definitely like to know, because that may aid us in figuring out exactly what we're dealing with. Oh, and then I snap my fingers and I look back to the general and say, "You have a man, or you have a dwarf in your jail that has been improperly jailed." And I look towards Tormilla. Your friend.
Oh, you mean Timon?
Yes, I think. Was that the one that got locked up?
Yeah, that would have been Timon Merrybird.
Yes.
All right, and yeah, Tormilla goes into detail, explaining the whole circumstance concerning Timon Merrybird's imprisonment and the timing and just how generally suspicious it was. And upon hearing all of it, the general kind of looks over at another one of the Goat Knights and tells him, "Go and fetch the prison records, or look into them, see if there's any mention of Timon Merrybird. I do recall rumors going about, but can't say I paid enough mind to it to really know what happened."
He could be our proof as well. That the guard captain is not as he seems. Or at least not as sincere as he seems.
Okay. So the second Goat Knight then turns and makes his way out of the hall and out of sight. So,
Is there like a couch or something, something to sit on?
there would be benches kind of lining the sides of the.
At this point, I'm gonna go and just sit down and put my hands in, or my head in my hands, and just kind of, withdraw into my own little world.
Okay.
Try to, essentially try to make sense of what happened.
All right. Okay. So as you are doing that, Tormilla is still sort of fixated on the symbols that you handed her, kind of like looking at them. She just has this look on her face like, I know this from somewhere. And as you're sitting and kind of zoning out, really, after about 5 minutes, you just hear this, wait one moment. And she's like, draining, trying to remember. I think these. I know I've seen this one. This is, I think, one of the. It's a symbol of one of the old evil servants of Orchid.
I look up and I say, "It's not Charybdis, is it?"
No, isn't Charybdis that sea monster thing you were talking about?
Yes. Okay.
No, that's something else. Oh, what was his name? The name is escaping me, but
Can I do a religion check based off her description?
well, as she finishes describing, She kind of, what she can recall is essentially that there was a necromancer of sorts who sort of created his own new way of necromancy, and seemingly well, found greater success than just about any that had come before him. She can't remember exactly the methodology, but essentially he was looking to kind of remake the Earth in the image of Orcus, bringing essentially an age of undeath upon the material plane. With that, I would say Maya, and actually all of you could go ahead and make a history check.
It doesn't have to do with stones, does it?
It
Doesn't
was
matter. Bungo knows.
a facet of the story does have something to do with stuff, but probably not in this. Wouldn't be relevant in this
For
capacity.
my stone cunning?
Yeah.
Okay.
Bungdo,
Yes.
you recall one of the conversations that you and the group had back in Strassa when you were at the Holy Athenian.
Uh-huh.
As you were working with your friend, the perhaps a bit off-putting librarian who knew a great deal about necromancy,
I liked him.
the name Caius had come up.
Caius.
This seems to fit the bill.
He wasn't that guy that was tied to the mace that Trogdor has, is it?
No. No. That would have been. Well,
Oh, I have my note for Caius. He's an avid follower of Orcus, most powerful necromancer in Astian. Through dealings with Orcus, wanted to bring about Age of the Worms or Undeath. Through the means of those worms, he was betrayed by another necromancer, was sealed in a stone tablet. That's what I have for my notes on Caius. Sorry.
Does Bungdo tell us Taylor's notes on Caius?
Yes, Bungo.
with the
Bungo.
24, Bungdo would remember that.
A look of upset light bulb moment passes Maya's face, remembering the cave and the worms and the giant stone monolith that she started based off Eamon's thinking, what he said, that maybe the cave, that stone, was actually to keep something in, is concerned that when they destroyed that stone, they let Caius out.
Oh, fuck.
So yeah, I think that Caius might be out now, and that's why we saw those worms, and why that stone was destroyed.
Okay. Well,
Hopefully
around.
I'm wrong.
Does somebody want to go get Trogdor? I don't think he should be by himself at this point. He has that tablet. And I have a feeling that might be tied to something.
Well, that tablet was in a different area, so hopefully it does not have to do with Caius.
Okay. And then I will say as well, within that lore of Caius, Tristana, which is one of the most trusted underlings of Caius, betrayed him.
Can you repeat that? You cut out.
Oh, Tristana, which was one of his more trusted underlings, but was the one who betrayed him. So, Tristana is a name to keep in mind about trying to find a way to get rid of Caius again. This is all in my notes, so I got it from somewhere. Head back in my hands, and I'm just, oh no, 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 no. And I'm just doing that until somebody gets back.
Alright. So to clarify, did Bungo actually go to get Trogdor?
If I'm the one that wanted to, yeah. Little errand boy today.
You don't have to. I was just kind of saying that in the room. I mean, one of the Goat Knights could have done it.
Might as well. No, I go get Trogdor.
Okay. So the first one back would be the Goat Knight that was sent to retrieve the prison records, or at least look into them. And he returns with the news that Timon Marybrew was brought in under arrest, spent one night in jail, and was then remanded into the custody of one Farrig Leadforge.
He's dead. Knowing this, did I happen to see one of the bodies down in the basement? Was it a dwarf?
There were a couple dwarves down there.
I look at Tormilla and I say, there were a couple dwarves in the basement. I don't know if you noticed.
Her face kind of...
Maya's a little bit aghast by his inconsiderate tone of voice.
Yeah, you kind of watch some of the color drain from Tormilla's face. And, I mean, it would have been hard to recognize because the bodies were a bit mangled. But, that she certainly seems to see where you're going with that. And, well...
I look to the general. Is there any more proof that you need?
I think that will do.
And then I say, Tormilla, I'm sorry. I wish we could have saved him.
Well, so do I, but again, the best I can do is honor his memory and do what I can to ensure his death wasn't in vain. I'm not an adventurer per se, but I'll do what I can to root out any corruption that might still be here.
Okay.
Now that I can show my face in my home once again, I'll make sure that no one is able to do what's been done to Timon, to your brother, to whoever those other people were downstairs, and to bring Moradin's light and keep it here for as long as I draw breath.
I warn you, though. Still be careful. We still do not know who exactly orchestrated the plan that left you deserted. But I'm very glad to call you a friend, and if I can help you in any way, please try to contact me. Or
Same
anyone
here.
in this group. I'm sure.
Yes. And although it may not be much, I'm sure my parents would gladly help in any way, shape, or form as well. As will I.
The general chimes in and says, "You've already done us great service. And frankly, I am ashamed that such corruption and evil was able to go on under my very nose for all this time. Given what we know, the beginnings of this plot must have reached back for well over a year. And, well, I'm disappointed in myself that I wasn't able to even recognize the possibility of such a threat. However, painful though it may be, the losses that your family and the families of many others taken by Leadforge and his ilk have enabled us to perhaps gain some sort of advantage in whatever conflict may come. And so, to you, Togar Hammerstriker, I would simply say, you are to be honored, to be recognized as the hero that you are. And just know that should you need anything from myself, from my knights, indeed from anything here in the city, any resource, whatever you need to end this threat, you need simply ask.
I intend to end it, and any aid would be greatly appreciated. All I ask is that something like this not happen again. That's all I need. It's been enough heartache, enough headache for my parents and myself over my brother. And know, sir, that we place no blame on you. It is the unfortunate side effect of a city as great as Thogladar that not everything can be seen by every person. And it's just unfortunate that the corruption happened to be so high up in, within this city. Really, all I can ask right now is that you stay safe. Make sure Tormilla stays safe, and just make sure that people are who they say they are. From this point forward, for the safety of everybody and all good within Thogladar.
I give you my word that I will no such a complacent oaf. Nods and sort of heads back over to his seat and just sort of plops down. Still visibly frustrated with himself, but at least able to laugh about it. Around this time, the doors open, and Bungdo and Trogdor walk back in. Assuming there's nothing you two would have liked to have done on.
I was sleeping.
Okay.
Trevor was sleeping.
At your parents' house, yep.
Okay. So yeah, then Bungdo shows up and tells you that you need to go to the council chamber. So, are you going at least?
Does Phil say why I have to go?
Well, what does Bungdo say?
Bungdo says he has to go, or else he might have to help Bungdo chop up wood again.
The strangest veiled threat anyone has ever heard.
I guess I'll just take a deep sigh and get up and follow him.
Okay. So, yeah, the two of them come walking back through the doors. And shortly thereafter, the doors swing open once more with a goat knight, followed by Bearman Chatterfoot. Clearly, Bearman doesn't know what he's getting himself into. He's kind of just strolling in like he owns the place. The sellsword in him very, very much apparent. He just has this swagger to his physical presence that, comes across as sort of slimy.
What kind of a helmet is he wearing?
He's not wearing a helmet.
Alright, as long as he's not looking at me, I would like to fade into the shadows.
Okay. Go ahead. Let's see. Alright. So, yeah, you kind of just press yourself back, kind of among the shadows and a number of tapestries that kind of adorn the outer walls of the council chamber.
I'm not worried about anybody else seeing me, I'm just more worried about him seeing me. I want to sneak up to as close as I can get and fucking deck him across the face as hard as I can. No warning, nothing. Just fucking flat out just deck him across the face.
All right. So as he follows the goat knight.
Am I aware that Togar is going to do this, or do I even know where Togar is?
Go ahead and make a perception check.
My perception check cannot beat 26.
Okay. Well, go ahead and roll. All right. So, yeah, you just seem to have lost track of Togar. But yeah, as Bearman just sort of strolls up behind the goat knight, who eventually kind of veers off to join his compatriots, Bearman gives this sort of half-hearted bow directed at the general, and simply says, "What can I do for you, my lord?" At this point, Togar emerges from the shadows, having circled around, and takes a swing.
Yep. And as I hit him, I'm going to say, "That's for my brother Hogar!" Boom! Just right across the face. And I'm just going to, hit him once, and that's it. And I'm just going to stand there and just say, "You slimy piece of shit." And I'll look at the general and just say, "I'm sorry for that, but I feel a lot better."
Sorry, not sorry.
And I'll take a step back away from him.
Okay. Bearman kind of like pulls himself up. He hadn't completely like collapsed or anything, but he was thrown for quite a loop with the sudden attack out of nowhere.
Yep, that's fine.
Sneak attack damage?
I don't... Is that a thing?
I think it has to be what, like a finesse weapon or a ranged weapon or something. But
His dexterous hands are finessing up.
well, it doesn't. Yeah, it doesn't say. Or, oh yeah, it does. Finesse or ranged.
I can't
Okay.
use my fist as a finesse weapon?
I don't think fists are a very finesse based weapon. No.
Are Maya's fists finesse?
Yes.
They hit like a truck.
Strangely, yes.
At this point, I'm silently wishing I had Maya's hands. But no, it was more of a statement than anything else.
Yeah. He kind of recovers, rubbing his jaw where the contact was made. And, as he kind of regains his stance, he's like instinctively reaching for the sword on his hip.
Can I sleight of hand and possibly have lifted that with Mage Hand? Or bonus action, can I Mage Hand and try to snag it from him?
I would say, go ahead and roll initiative.
Okay.
First. Okay. Alright. So, he is able to grab the hilt of his sword and kind of have it in his hand by the time you're able to summon the Mage Hand.
Okay, well, if that's
He
the
hasn't-
case...
He hasn't drawn the sword, it's just hand at the hilt.
How far away from me is Maya?
15, 20 feet?
I'm gonna summon Mage Hand and over next to her and pull a kunai out of my belt with Mage Hand and attempt to just chuck it towards me. Then.
Okay.
Or wait, you said 15 feet?
Yeah.
All right, I'll just pick it up. Like I'll just grab it out of my belt and bring it to myself and hand it to myself and say, "I wouldn't do that if I were you."
All right.
Because I do have 15 feet of movement with Mage Hand.
Yeah. Okay. So he kind of raises an eyebrow, finally seeing who just smacked him across the face, and looks over at the general and just says, "You know who this is." The general just nods. At which point, Tormilla walks up and says, "Yes, we're all very well aware of who he is, of who your employer was, and who you are." Bearman kind of looks around, confused, and you can see the realization kind of dawning on his face as his mouth just kind of hangs there, agape in that look of, "Oh shit."
Mm-hmm.
Can I do an insight check to see if he was surprised to see Tormilla?
Yeah.
I actually kind of want to as well. See what his reaction is.
Another 9.
Well, what was his reaction upon seeing Tormilla? Just not really anything, or
Well, go ahead and roll an insight check. he certainly seems surprised.
Okay. I look to the general and say, I think we found the issue Tormilla had as well.
Well, he did think everyone did think that she was dead.
I mean, but did he look more so surprised than usual? Than what you would have?
Like, kind of upset that the job wasn't done right.
Yeah.
Yeah, you could say that.
Okay, yep, my previous statement stands then.
Okay, and at that point, Behrman just he slowly releases his hold on the hilt of his weapon, and just sort of holds both hands up, open.
I'm going to just kind of tuck the kunai just kind of down in a pocket, I guess, basically, of my pants. And just kind of, again, same like him, just kind of step back away from him and, out of the way. I had my piece with him.
The general speaks up. Behrman Shatterfoot, you stand accused by one of your peers, Togar Hammerstriker, of being an accomplice to murder. And corruption tantamount to treason against the city-state of Thogladar. You stand accused of allowing some unknown entity to smuggle dangerous resources out of the city for as yet unknown nefarious uses. And let it be known that I myself strongly suspect your involvement in the disappearance of my daughter. What say you? Behrman just stands there, mouth agape, eyes darting from General Snowhand to Tormilla to Togar.
At this point, can I mage hand and take his blade from him?
Sure.
Okay. Do I even need to roll since he's standing there, hands up?
Yeah, I don't think he's really going to make any aggressive moves.
All right. I'm just going to take his blade out and kind of take it over, hilt facing towards the nearest goat knight, and essentially hand it to a goat knight.
Okay. Yeah, seeing what you're doing, the goat knight just, holds out a hand and takes the blade. At this point, Behrman starts kind of trying to stutter some words out. Leadforge is it's all him. It's all him. Tell him
Yeah.
it's his idea.
He's dead. By our own hand, he is dead. Do you know what your boss was? He was a fucking Bodak.
The fuck is a Bodak?
You don't want to know. It's a follower of Orcus. Your boss was the scummiest of scum. Did you know he had a fucking beholder in his basement?
Just layer upon layer of confusion being added to the
That's
expression
fine.
on Behrman's face.
That's fine. There's so much going on in Togar's head. At this point, he's just gonna keep spewing out facts until he makes until he makes his head explode, or until this guy just falls to the ground. Like, just boom, 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 just, verbal punches at this point.
All right. And he just starts spouting like, well, he made me do it. He blackmailed me, and well, and he's just like at a loss.
When you're done with your excuses, was it worth it?
He kind of looks at you, unsure of what you mean.
Was all of this worth what you did? Or, sorry. Was all of what you did worth this? Flip it around.
He kind of casts his gaze down and says, nothing is worth this.
Then why? Why did you do it?
Is it?
Hmm?
He hesitated.
Oh,
Um,
sorry.
Because it was business, he says, kind of questioningly.
It was business. So as of now, there are 2 heads and 2 lives on in your hands because of business that we know of. Give me one good reason to not put this kunai right through your eye. And
He
if you-
just kind of stutters like,
And if he looks at the general at all, I will say, this doesn't concern him. This is between me and you. You'll deal with him when you're done with me.
and he just kind of stands there looking at you, looking around at the whole congregation of you, your party, your allies. And he turns around and attempts to start running out of the chamber.
I'm throwing.
Bungno cast Produce Flame.
I was gonna say, I'm gonna throw the kunai at his at his Achilles tendon. I want to try to hamstring him with a
He probably does
kunai.
the kunai first.
Probably.
Aren't there goat knights blocking the door?
They are not blocking the door, but they are mounted, and they would probably beat him there.
I'm still throwing it.
Can I just be arriving?
You would already have been here.
Oh.
You could have been standing by the door.
That's true.
Could not be standing by the door.
Sure. So he turns around and starts hauling ass out of the hall, effectively dashing. So he covers most of the kind of approach to the platform as he is trying to backtrack out of the large doors at the entrance. Togar, go ahead and roll a kunai attack, but subtract 5 because you're targeting a specific point.
With sharpshooter, does that account for anything?
It wouldn't change this.
Okay. Fuck. I whiff.
So, yeah, just kind of clatters down, scraping across the floor. He takes off. He's running. Bungdo, go ahead and roll your produce flame.
Alright. Oh.
For the second time today, you almost hit Trogdor.
Can I also take off after him?
Yeah, I'm gonna take off behind Maya as well. I'm slower. So.
I have
Yeah.
a speed of 45.
Yeah. I'm slower. I'm still gonna take off. As soon as I see you take off, I start following too.
I'm pretty sure I catch up to him pretty quickly.
Yep.
Yeah, so it would effectively be like on the second turn, you're able to catch up with him and attack him if need be. However, before your turn would roll around again, he finds himself face to face with a large, heavily armored, heavily
angry.
armed,
Yeah.
fairly angry Dragonborn. And with a resounding thump, he is. Well, where do you want to hit him, Trogdor?
Oh, I was muted. I said I wanted to do like an uppercut on the chin.
Ooh.
He is knocked back, just reeling, off balance,
Couple teeth.
and oh yeah, you see like 3 teeth just go
For the first
scattering.
time, for the first time today, I look at Trogdor and smile and say, "That was a hell of a hit. Good job."
for the first time today.
Well, no. I mean, you see me smile.
Okay.
You see me smile
All right.
when I say that, and then I look back down at that piece of shit.
All right.
When
And
he's
at this point,
So when he's knocked down, I want to try and knock him the fuck out.
yeah. So the rest of the group, including the goat knights that have taken off after him as well, entirely encircle him, and you make pretty quick work of him. If anybody's trying to knock him out, he is easily subdued and
He is knocked the fuck out.
put to sleep. Yes.
I just want to like grab his I don't know, shirt, whatever, haul him up and just punch him again to knock him out.
All right. And so that is what you do.
Whew. And while this is going on, like, as soon as he gets knocked out, I look at the general and say, "Terribly sorry for my actions, sir. With all the information and all the emotions of today, I just... I couldn't help myself."
I would have done the same thing. He was a sack of shit.
At this point, I fall over just fucking belly laughing because of that. Just hearing the leader of a city call somebody a sack of shit is fucking hilarious.
And on that note, I think we'll pick it up there next time because we're already pushing a little bit past 10.